Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. Alvin is currently a senior software engineer at BCG, which is a management, one of the top management consulting firms, BCG Digital Ventures, which is their kind of startup building on, if I'm not wrong. Alvin can correct me as well.
Yes.
Before BCG, Alvin was a software engineer at GovTech. I'm not sure what products you're working at GovTech. So you can
MOM, yeah, I'm working on the foreign domestic worker application platform.
MOM application. Working with one, I think closely with one of our former graduates, a recent former graduate, Samantha, right?
Yeah.
Another Samantha. And before GovTech, Alvin was a head of platform engineering at Nodeflare, which is the one where we saw the salary report on
Oh, you guys are using that?
we read the report on salaries. Yeah, so that was cool. And then before that, Alvin was at PrimeTech, and PrimeTech, which is a bit of a conglomerate in Singapore, also as a product manager. And then before that, he was a co-founder at AfterYou, which is that marketplace, the service marketplace. Yeah, so Alvin has a wealth of experiences across doing his own startup, to working at a larger conglomerate company, to then working at smaller startup like Nodeflare, and then at GovTech, and now BCG. So really, like, all the different kinds of companies Alvin has been there and experienced that. So very excited to welcome Alvin here today. The format of today's Q&A will be a little bit special. So Alvin, we've been playing around with formats because I know that some student feedback was that it's just too much of very similar questions. And so we started encouraging our speakers to either share a project or do a mock interview. Alvin has some mock interview ideas up his sleeve, which is why he volunteered to help mock interview today and give us more understanding of what companies might look out for when they interview candidates. And Effie, who is our star student from full-time bootcamp batch 3, has volunteered to be the guinea pig and has been very brave to get up in front of everyone and help us all learn from this experience. So thank you, Effie. Thank you, Alvin, for being here. So I think we'll start out with I'll let Alvin take it away, introduce himself, and get into the mock interview. And then at around maybe at around the half an hour mark, and we might extend by another 5-10 minutes today, depending on how it goes. But around the half an hour mark, then we'll transition to Q&A. I hope that's okay. And Alvin, just for your reference, we have a Pigeonhole, which is this Q&A software. I'm going to post the link in the Zoom chat.
Okay.
So that's where students are going to be compiling Q&A. You don't have to look at it now, but that's what we'll be going off of when we get into the Q&A section later.
Right. Sure. Cool. Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay. So awesome. Cool. I'll just take it over from here. Yes. I think we don't have much time, so I'll just quickly do this in like 20 minutes. We can leave the Q&A for later. Then for the introductions, I think you've given me a very good, giving the rest a very good introduction of myself. So I won't add on to that.
I will mention,
yes?
Alvin did not study computer science. He was also a career switcher, right?
Yes. I am not I didn't graduate from computer science. I was from engineering science. And a lot of what I learned about software engineering was self-taught. Yeah, so I think that's very similar to, I guess, everyone here in Rocket Academy. So any other questions you have for me, you can ask me later over LinkedIn or anything. That's fine. I'll be happy to. All right, cool. So I'll just jump straight into it.
Okay.
So just to confirm, it's Zafy, right?
Zafary, yeah. And it goes by
hi, Zafary. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, Zafary. All right. So today's question is pretty. Let me see. I'm gonna just share my screen. Quick one. Desktop 2, I suppose. All right. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a bit messy on my side. Okay, but today's question is pretty straightforward. I'll just describe it, then I'll just give you more information as I go. Right. So I know you guys have been doing like the algo related questions. So today I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do one of the questions that I used to give candidates that I was interviewing for. So it's a question regarding it's a scenario. So I just need you to solve a problem for me. So this is like it's a billing problem, right? So so what I need you to I can describe to you what's happening. So imagine, right, you are a telco company, right? You're working for a telco company, and you have telcos who are you have customers who are assigned plans. So this is the table here. So this is like the plans table, for example. Right, so you have a user and a user was assigned plan 1 and 2. So this is the plan table. So you have a plan table that, oh, sorry, no, this is not plans. Sorry, this is plans. So it's we can do it as customers. That's better. Right, so every plan has got a certain rate. So you are charged at, this is like 10 cents per minute, and then this is charged at like, 12 cents per minute. And then finally, you also have a usage. So this telco, they're recording like how long this user uses the number of calls the minutes of calls per day. So it is recorded in something like this, the table. So this is like, I guess I'll call this the usage table. So just a quick description here. So like today, like for example, this user, he has used 5 minutes. He's called for 5 minutes. So he'll probably be charged like 5 times this. 5 times this is like what, 50 cents. Then the next day he's done this. So on and so forth, all the way until the end of the month. So this is like a long usage table. So maybe I think the first question that I'd like to ask is how would you design your, like to build an application around this, right? For me to find out how many minutes, right? How much should I charge a user, like for example, user 1 for the entire month? How would you do that? Yeah.
You're talking about like the front end, the interface of it, is it?
No, I don't need an yeah. For example, like let's say I need to have the front end to check like how much to charge this person. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll ask it differently. I'm the user. I want to know how much I'm billed for the month. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm user 1. I want to have a front end where I can see how much I'm billed for the month, like the month of January of 2021. Yeah.
Okay, so
sorry, just to interject, is this going to be purely verbal, or is there, because I know that sometimes system design interviews we have like a shared whiteboard, right, that we're drawing together, and Zoom also allows us to do that annotation feature. Alvin, what would you prefer? Would you prefer?
Oh yeah, actually I completely
verbal,
forgot about that because this used to be done on the whiteboard.
Yeah, right. So if he doesn't have a whiteboard, then he cannot draw what he's thinking.
Exactly. So we should do a
maybe you can
whiteboard.
make it full screen. Maybe you can, because it's helpful to see that prompt and those tables that you drew as well. Maybe we can just make this window full screen. And then Effie can then draw there, right?
Right, exactly. You can draw. Okay.
You know how to make it full screen? I think you can just double click on the header.
Like that. Yeah, like this. Oh, let me try to double click there.
Does that work?
Oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Okay.
Or
you can do option. You can. Oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah.
Right. Do that.
Okay, that's great. You can option click the green thing in the top left, and then you'll option click the green.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I think. All right, go with this. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
So just take it away. Yeah.
So Evan, I just want to clarify some stuff. Like, do you want me to create the entire front end, or like, are you just looking at the queries that I'm making?
I want to know
the endpoints and stuff.
Yeah, I want to know like the queries. That would be great. Like possibly how would you want to retrieve this information? And if you have any kind of like design or any type of classes you want to design, you can just jot it down, or you can just let me know. Actually, you know what? Why not just give you screen control? That'd be easier. You can just type it here if you want, or you can just annotate. That's fine as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I'll start with like since it's for the user, right? I want to have an interface for the user to be able to see a visual, right?
Yeah.
So this can be the user profile.
So
it can be the profile.
Okay. Cool.
And then maybe some endpoints here, right? In the profile.
What kind of endpoints? Yeah.
Maybe I'll just like type out, so I think it'd be easier.
Sure. I give you control, so you can just type it there. It's fine.
Okay. Oh, how do I?
Oh, sorry. I think there's an issue here. Sorry about this. Cause doing this interview over the Zoom is a bit trickier for me. Let me see if I can. Is there any? Can we use some code, like a what tool should we use to share typing?
No, I think you can remote control on Zoom, right?
But he's
know,
not
but
able to. He's not able to control my
Hmm.
notes. That's a problem. I think there's some issue here.
Yeah, I can't
okay.
control the notes.
You can try Google Jamboard.
Oh yeah, maybe we could do. Or maybe I could just open a Google Drive for you, like something like a Google, maybe like a Google Docs, and you can just type something. Yeah, then we can at least see what we're all typing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is really tricky. Sorry, how do I share this?
Share
can
with
I share it
BCG.
to everyone? Wait,
You have to click share with BCG DV.
I want to share with everyone though. Is it possible?
Right. Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah.
have to click
Yeah.
that,
Oh yeah.
And you can change
I can
who's
make
the.
it public. Yeah. Cool. Copy. Oh wait. Anyone can edit and copy. Yeah. Sorry. Multiple screens here. Okay. Let me just share. Okay. Good. Cool. Oh, sorry. Let's not do this. Oh, did I lose that? Yeah. Right. Cool. Are you able to type here?
Let me.
You should be able to access the thing. Just make it smaller so you can see this. Oh, cool. Yeah, I see someone
Right?
typing.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay, hold on. I'll just put it side by side.
Okay, sure. Just
Okay, so so like I was saying, probably an endpoint, right? The endpoint is for like a user profile. Then we probably want to have some endpoints here. This could be, I think we'll start the most obvious, right? The endpoints will be like to get user info, right? So probably API, there's user info.
okay.
This one would give us username, user plan, and what else do we have? Username has an ID, has a plan.
Yeah, so suppose you have the plan, right? You go to the plans page, right? Yeah. So how are you going to get how are you going to calculate for me the total
for the month?
The amount for the month. Let's get that sorted out first, because then we can do the front end later.
Okay.
Yeah. How will you do that? Maybe you can just sketch out the code as well. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so we obviously want to get the usage table, right?
Yeah.
So from the usage table, we'll query the user ID. Do I like write out the query?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
just sketch it along.
We'll just go ahead and select from, or select all, right? You can just select all.
Okay.
We'll just select all from the usage table. Where ID would equal to 1, for example, right? Just first user, and then we'll get all these data, right? So we'll get the date, and we'll get what's minutes. What's minute again?
My minutes, like how much they use in a day.
Also, it's like 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
For this whole month, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the whole day. So the date format is in like year, month, and day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we wanted to calculate the total for the month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. It's one user here, and there's 2. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Perfect.
So when we select all from the usage table where ID equals 1, then we'll get all the information that we need in the usage table, right? Regarding one user alone. So then we'll have like different days, right? So probably like day 1 we'll have 5 minutes, and then day 2
yes, exactly.
we'll have 35 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
So to calculate the total usage for those 2 days, we'll just add them together, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just do.
How will you do the addition? Like, what's your plan for doing the addition? Just curious.
So it's, I think it's just a sum, right? Because we're just adding. Oh, okay, I see. It's rate per minute, right? So 5 minutes, he's paying 50 cents.
Correct.
Yeah. I think those guys in batch 3, they know my mathematical skills are really advanced. So give me a time.
Okay, no worries. Just want to know the plan, like how will you?
Okay, so I probably
doing
wanna
this?
like since it's 5, right? It's 5 minutes, right? So I just want to get like 50 cents times the minute, right? That would give me.
Okay. So maybe let me clarify. So it's rate per minute. So there is the total minutes, right? So we still need to know. So let's do this step by step. How do I know how much the person is charged for that day first?
For that day.
So we do it step by step. We settle it for one day, then we after that move on to the next step. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this will be the calculations, right? The calculations for a day.
Okay, sure.
Would equals like the rate per minute.
So that's like 10 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Times 5. And then user 1 has a plan ID of 1, so it's 10 cents. Yeah, that's correct. And then we'll do the same for this day, right?
Okay, so we just like basically copy paste. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Then we just get some of that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then next question I have, just to build on this, right, to understand. So we did the select from usage table here. So I'll just highlight this. Select from usage table. So that gives me the how much minutes we have for this guy and for which day. But how would you otherwise get the rate per minute to help you calculate this?
Or how we get
because it wasn't because it wasn't selected yet, right? Yeah. So there's no way to do it.
Yeah, we'll do another query then. We know that user ID has a true table, customer table, right?
Yes.
So we have to select select all also.
Okay.
From customer table, where user ID. Wait a minute. No, yeah, hold on. Select all.
What you need is the rate per minute, right? Yeah.
So when we do this, we already got the this one will be the okay, slow down a bit. So customer table has a user ID and a plan ID.
Yep.
Here we are querying from the usage table.
Okay, usage table.
But in usage table, we've already got the user ID. So we probably need to do some kind of join.
Okay, we can try that. Sure.
Query, right?
Yeah. Go ahead with that. Yeah.
So we need to select from. I think can I just like write out in plain English instead of the actual code?
Oh yeah, sure. Just tell me your intent. Intention is important. Yeah, it's okay. No worries. What's the intent?
So I'll do a join query, right? I'll query like the customers table.
Okay. We query. Okay, sure.
And the plans table. The plans table so that I can get the plan ID, right, for each user. The reason why I'm querying from customers table is so that I can get their plan ID. So for every user ID 1, there's a plan ID of 1 also. Then with that information, I can go ahead and query from plans table where plan ID equals to 1 to get the rate per minute.
Okay.
Right. And then once I get that rate per minute, only then I can actually perform
the calculation for the how much to charge, right?
Here, right? Yeah.
Okay. Can I challenge you to is it possible to do this in one single query?
You definitely can. I'll try to remember. Okay, I'll try to
just a rough pseudo code, like how you wanted to do it. Yeah, the syntax doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think is we got to select from in one query we want to get all those stuff, right? So
Is it possible? Let's say we start from the usage table. What kind of joins do you want to do?
In the usage table, we want to probably join the customer table.
Okay, because then you got the customer and the
ID
plans, right?
and the user ID.
Okay, then after that, is it possible to join it again? Yeah.
Join it in a single line. Could we do that?
At least do amount. Is it possible?
We could, right? I don't think we can.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think
no worries, no worries.
Somewhere.
Okay, no worries. So that means right now the design would be we start from the usage table, and then after that we join with the customer table to get the plan. And then after that we'll have a separate query to get the rate per minute from the plan. Is that correct? Then after that we will calculate, just to understand your intent.
Yep.
Okay, cool, got it. Nice. Yep. So yeah, then I think with that, then we will be able to have the information to do the calculation for the day, right? That makes sense. Then after that, I guess all these will be sent to the front end to the user, from an endpoint like this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sorry. Kai, do you have a question do we have time for another follow-up, like just 5 minutes?
Yeah. You go. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so I do have another follow-up question to this, which is so suppose, right, it's very common, like these telco companies, where you reach a certain amount of minutes. Let's say you reach 100 minutes, for example, and then they sometimes will give you a notification to tell you, hey, you already reached like your limit for this plan. Yeah. So just wondering if I have this requirement, I need to build something like this to check that you have reached this limit of like 100 or 200 minutes for a particular user, right? And then notify them. How would you do it? How would you solve this problem?
Okay.
Just high level, roughly tell me, like, what are the parts you need. That will be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the requirements again? Just a quick one.
Sure. Okay. So when a user reaches a limit of 100 minutes for the month, send them an email.
They reach above 100.
Correct. Anytime they reach above 100, send them one notification that you have reached a limit. Yeah.
So this is 100 minutes, right? Okay.
For the month, 100 minutes for the month. Yeah.
Okay. So every time they hit 100 minutes a month. Well, to plan for month, how would I do it? I would probably, we got the daily, and we know a month is roughly about 28, 30 days, right?
Once you send them, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So I was thinking you want to notify them once they've reached 100 minutes a month, right?
Yep. Assume that the notification system is done already. It's just an API call. So just want to understand how you would do the detection of this 100 minutes a month, and what's the way to your approach.
Okay, so probably we could do it like since it's telco, right? So like probably after every call, let's say that the rate per minute, like this are like the usage, right? So for after every usage, the usage is like, you mean by data, or is it by call usage?
This call, this usage table, because like now it's 35 minutes, right?
Okay.
Then it's 30. Then so it's 5, 35. Then assuming that actually so I'll just create one more. So let's say today the date, right, is 2021, and today is the 3rd, and then this new entry comes in, like for example 90. Then at this point, of course, we need to let the user know, right, that hey, you already should pass the 100 limit. But how will you do it? How will you detect this?
So I think the most obvious way probably is like when you have a new entry, right? Before we actually, or not even before, I think like while we are persisting into the database, right? We can actually do a query for all the data that's relevant to one user, and then calculate all its minutes for the entire month. So if it reaches 100, then we'll just send out the notification to the user. If not, we'll just let it be and keep going. So we only do that. We only act on it after every new entry to the new usage. Yeah.
Okay. So suppose if you didn't have access to the information you didn't have access to the system that does the that allows you to modify the logic when it does the insertion into the table.
Okay.
And this is the only information you have to work with. I understand where you're coming from. It makes sense. Like you put it in, then you check. Like hey, should pass 100. That makes sense. But suppose if you don't have access to that data, to that system, right? And you otherwise have to select it.
You probably got
check after the fact. Yeah, how would you do it? Yeah.
So I guess like since we don't have data to check,
you don't have information to. You don't have a way to access that system. Yeah. You are only given this, and you are only allowed to work with it. Just want to know how you do it. Yeah.
We could. Is it practical to constantly do a query like every few?
Okay. Let's go down that line. Let's go down that train of thought. Okay. How would you do it? The constantly thing. Yeah.
So we probably want to set up some kind of like interval for us to query from the database.
But to interject, we have not learned cron jobs yet, but if you can assume that there is a way for us to run a specific script or set of algorithm or commands at a specific interval, like every day at midnight or something. We have the ability to do that.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know about this part. Okay. Nice. Okay, so I think sorry, Zafri, just you mentioned, right? You said you want to do something at the interval. Okay, cool, nice. Okay, so you go to interval, okay, and
so I was actually thinking of cron job, Kai.
You were okay.
Yiqing was Yiqing did it once, right? I had a look at it also.
Okay.
So I was thinking of doing something like that. So we can just set it like probably every, it's up to you, right? The most accurate interval that you wanna run a query to the usage table based on the user ID, right? To get all their minutes. And then we can calculate those minutes and see where they are currently at their target within a month.
Okay, cool. Nice. Then maybe just a last consideration, right? So every time when you run the cron job, will you run it? Do you think you might have a plan to like run it daily, every minute, every hour? Like any considerations around that?
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. If we do it too early, then we might miss the later ones. If we do it too late, then we might overshoot 100 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So what information do you need to help you make that decision?
Well, I think we probably could like we have access to the database, right? So we can just do a query.
Okay. Or maybe I feed you one more piece of information. The usage table, right, is updated every day at midnight.
Every day at midnight.
How would that change your approach to this?
So I'll do it every day at midnight also. I'll do it every time that we update the table.
Cool. Just try to match up the time so you get the update immediately. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Thanks. Actually, I think that's the end of the interview. So Kai, should I just run through like maybe what I was looking for?
I would love that. That would be great.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So maybe just to share with you folks. I think this is like a bit of an unconventional kind of interview, and I know it's a bit difficult doing this because it's meant to be done whiteboarding face to face. So I think the approach, right? Why like for myself, right? Why I also do this kind of interviews, right? Is because I think like where I come from, we are more really concerned with problem solving. Like generally for consulting companies, they just throw you a problem and you just want to solve it. And I was looking at a few things that or rather it was intentionally vague. I'm not sure whether you guys caught on, but the question and the problem was intentionally meant to be not so clear, like what exactly you were going to do, because usually even at the entry level, associate level for like software engineering consulting companies, right? You are expected to be able to help to define the problem. That means by asking, like, okay, so what kind of characteristic is this system supposed to have? Can you tell me more about the problem? Can you feed me more information? How does this and this work? What's the business domain? What's the understanding? Can you help me fill in my understanding of this problem so that I can help you solve the problem? So typically that is really what I'm looking for. I think Jeffrey did really well here. Like, to ask me more questions about like, oh, so like I suppose I'll be an endpoint. That makes sense because I needed to understand that. Then after that, he also went on to clarify, like, what this table is about, clarify like what this plan table is about, and all this. I think that is really good. And also, I think what I was really looking for, right, is to solve the problem in a naive way. So I think that is important, because sometimes in interviews, right, you don't have to worry about solving it like the most optimized method. Sometimes, like, for us, we kind of don't really care. As long as you can solve it in the naive way, like the simple way, that is good, because we generally, I guess, trust people to be able to learn the more optimized solution later on. And anyway, there's no reason to over optimize a solution anyway. We just need you to have a clear train of thought, like to know, okay, I can do this, I can get this information, I'm just going to do this, multiply that, and get it done. Okay, then I'm happy with that. So that's completely fine. And then yeah, and it's very common that and for myself, right, like I try to inject like changes to the problem, like try to inject like extensions to the current problem that you're solving. And that's very common as well, because usually I think in at least for us, like in consulting companies, right, we have a lot of like change that we have to deal with. So sometimes at the onset, right, if you have already kind of structured your solution, to be malleable to change, that is great. If you don't, it's also fine, because you have to be able to adapt your solution to like changes. Like, for example, like actually one of my follow-up questions originally, right, was to ask you, like, for example, what if the rate per minute is not fixed? Like, for example, it can change depending on the time of day. Like, it's cheaper in the day and more expensive at night. So as a matter of designing a product, I might want to actually push out a telco plan that is cheaper at night, so I get more people to call at night, for example. Then the question is, how would you have solved the problem differently, and figure out that change? So this is very common as well, because we make changes every day. So it's something that I would ask in such an interview. Yeah, I think it's actually pretty good. And I think Jeffrey, I think what you did well was that you might not know specifically what is the thing that we want to use, like for example, like a cron job or something like this. But I'm very happy that you had in your mind, like, okay, I just wanted something to do it like at an interval. And I think that is important, because often we might not know what is that thing we want to use. And I think in interviews, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't have to mention specific like technologies to use, but like it's like the constructs are more important. I want something that is like an interval. Yeah, that is great. Then later we go and figure out, with the other engineers, like, okay, so what you guys are using to to fire things like an interval. Yeah, but to have those constructs, right, that one is good. Yeah, that one is good. And I think in your interview, you also in your responses, you also mentioned like specific like keywords, reusing those constructs. Like, for example, you say, I want a query, I want to do a query. Okay, that's good. We can figure out how we're going to do a query. I want an endpoint, so that one is good. So having these like keywords in your disposal and describing your solution that way, right, is I felt very helpful. Yeah, as an interviewer, I feel that you are confident, being able to solve the problem if I gave this to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Nice. Any questions for me, like from here? Like, I know this is a bit of a different kind of interview.
I guess in your opinion, what could have been better?
Okay, what could have been better?
Yeah.
I think, okay, so this interview, right, in a way was also designed to kind of understand who are able to solve the problem in a naive way, and also who are able to solve the problem with more advanced techniques. So what I felt would have been able to do better, but context, like, different kind of interviews and different type of technologies you're going for. Like here specifically, because we're using SQL, right? I think I would have been like impressed like if you are able to do everything like in a single query. That would have been
actually thinking about it, you could actually do it in a single query.
Yeah, you could actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would have been nice, for example. Then like for example, if you were able to write it down like, oh, I'm gonna have like to model the problem, that would be interesting. Like for example, to say that maybe it would be helpful to have I would model the customer as having a model and say, like customer has got a plan, then a plan and customer has got many one-to-many relation to like usages, for example, and then I might model them as like I need a customer class, for example. Then I might need a method, for me to check the total amount, for example. Then in this method, I will do so and so query and all that. I think that will be good because modeling, I think modeling shows that you are familiar with knowing how to wrap like concerns and responsibilities into smaller pieces. And I think that will help not just yourself, but also help other engineers working with you to like understand like how to use the parts that you have created instead of just random pieces of code that is, in like long lines of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that gets the problem solved, but able to do the modeling will help you very, very far. Yeah, in also describing your approach to solving problems. Yeah. Cool. And I think you were very vocal already. So actually, just be more confident. I think that would be great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Woo! Any other questions for Alvin on the interview? Effie, you got anything else? Any other questions? So at the end of the interview, they always ask, do you have any questions? And so having questions.
Oh yeah, do you have any questions?
Is it common for junior developers to be given this kind of questions in their interviews?
Hi, I'm not sure whether you want to answer that. Like for me, this is the level I would give. Like they can solve the problem any way they want. Then we just assess from there.
I would say this kind of line of questioning is not uncommon.
Okay.
Yeah. Big systems design problems, like, okay, let's say you're given a prompt, like let's say BCG is given, a customer wants them to build a new banking app in Indonesia, right? Then you got to think of, there's so many things you need to think about, right? You got to think of, you got the front end, then you got a database somewhere, then there's so many places you can dig into the problem, right? Like how do you design the database? How do you design the front end? How do you connect the front end and back end? What endpoints do you need, right? Those kinds of larger, more abstract problems are more of a senior level thing. But these more specific ones where he's asking, Alvin, maybe it's one of our projects and we had a database, right? Alvin's asking, like, okay, how would you query this database, or how would you structure this data in a certain way? It's not uncommon. So I would generally be ready. I would try and be ready to answer these kinds of questions as well. Yeah, usually algos are like the initial phone screen, right? The automated screening is like algos, but then when you get to talk to a person, they might ask you this kind of question, whether it's about your project or a simple problem like what Alvin just described, to get to see your thought process live.
Yeah. So yeah, this is, I think completely agree with that. So like small problems, it's very common. Like I think all entry-level engineers will be given responsibilities to solve like small problems that are usually like slightly more well-defined. It might still be slightly vague, like what this is, or slightly more well-defined. But in any case, you will usually be given the problem instead of giving the algo to solve. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. I think we will change gears a little bit since it's mindful of time and people have questions for Alvin. So we'll change gears a bit. If you guys haven't already and you still have questions, please post in the Pigeonhole and upvote questions. I will be helping to moderate and just going from the top voted. Okay,
cool. So I guess I'll just read off. Okay, wait, maybe I can just screen share anyway. Yeah, so I can read off the Pigeonhole. Okay, so first question here. What made you join BCG after your time in fast-paced startups? How do you feel about the transition? So the thing is, right, I joined BCG, but I joined a very specific arm called Digital Ventures. So I am actually transiting back into fast-paced startups, not away from it. So what happened was, previously I was from GovTech, right? I was there for about a year, and I realized that the pacing was a bit too slow for me. And I wanted to be a bit closer to products, like working a bit closer with the customer, like really feeling that the things that you're doing, right, has got actual impact, has got actual feedback from customers saying, this is great, this is cool, and being able to iterate and make changes from there. I think that was what I was really looking for. So I moved away from like large corporate company to join specifically the Digital Ventures, which is cool. We are also hiring, and we are also looking for and we are definitely working on smaller projects, like 3 or 4 people on like small startups, and then trying to just work on a lot of small problems together. So yeah, I think that was why I did the transition. That's one.
Joe, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. I was kind of thinking BCG as a management consulting firm, and then yeah, that's why the question was. But it answers it. Thank you.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. What was your self-learning SWE journey like? Okay, cool. This one I think everyone wants to know. Okay, so I only started doing software engineering like seriously when I was doing my startup. And I think how it happened is because when I was as a product manager, right, people started reaching out to me via our different like channels, asking me, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you have this feature? And can you do that feature? And I always felt a bit powerless because I'm not able to do it. So I always go back to my CTO and tell him, can you work on this feature and everything, prioritize and all that. But I realized that because as a startup, you gotta move fast, you gotta like respond to customers' needs. And it turns out that, like why not just try to do this myself? So I had a bit of experience with like HTML and CSS, but building a complete front end is completely different for me. So I got my CTO to teach me a little bit. Then I picked up from there. Then started doing a bit of front end stuff, like the simple changes. And then he said, okay, cool. Do you want to do a bit more like backend stuff? Then I started, picking up a little bit from there and do the backend stuff. And I think that was when I kind of like really got interested in building software. And during that period of time, I remember usually after work, I would just be trying out like other stuff, like other kinds of like frameworks, other kind of technologies to like really get a feel of, how to build things in different ways. So I think, yeah, and I think it really is like, I think what really contributed the most, right, to my learning was having someone that you can ask questions. That one is really good. Like when you are trying to build something and you don't know how to do it, and you're someone that will ask you, it accelerates your learning a lot faster. So I think that was good for me, and I had that CTO to help me with. And yeah, and after that, I think a lot of the learning, right, self-learning is finding projects that you want to build for myself. Like I built a lot of small projects for myself, like a expense tracking system just for fun. So I built it and I realized there was a lot of problems. Like for example, even like the interview, the multi-join kind of problems. I tried to solve it myself when I was building a product for myself just for fun. So like an expense tracker, that kind of stuff. I built something like a calculator for finances, that kind of thing. And and every time I build something just for fun for myself, like mini projects, right, I try to use a different technology. Like I started from Django, then I used Ruby on Rails, then I started using like React and all that. So yeah, I think it's really about having, like for me, the biggest contributor is about having fun building small projects, and then during interviews you also show off a bit of like what you did. And yeah, I think that was really how the whole software engineering journey was. Just like, yeah, just having fun and just learning along the way. Hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah, totally. It sounded like you started off hiring yourself.
Oh yeah, kind of, kind of like hiring myself, building my own stuff, and beating up myself about it when things don't work. Yeah. Okay, cool. Next question. What? Oh wait, that was answered. Okay. I've heard of several people joining blah 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 to convert themselves to TPMs later on. What drove you from going TPM to SWE? Yes, okay. I kind of like half answered this question. I think it's really like people asking you, can you do it? Can you change this? And because we didn't have enough people to change it, and I felt that I could do it, then I decided to do it. Yeah, it's like having, like, it was driven from like can I deliver this feature myself instead of having to tell someone to do it? I think it came from that perspective. I think that's when I decided, I just take matters into your own hands and do the conversion. Yeah, so that's all. Yep, did I answer your question? Sorry, Therese? Okay, cool, nice. All right, next one. What were your main takeaways from AfterYou and how has that shaped you as a software engineer? Okay, main takeaways from AfterYou. I think that was like for me, product, right? I think it's really about learning how to be a good product manager. Interestingly, right, was the journey to be a software engineer. Like to be a good product engineer, you need to prioritize as number one. You need to really listen to customers, and you need to be willing to experiment. And the fact that I had to experiment faster and had to respond to requests faster actually drove me to become a person that can handle these changes myself. So I became a software engineer. Yeah, so I guess that is how it shaped me. I'm not sure if there are any other points to this. Yeah, but I think mostly those were the motivations. Yeah, I didn't answer your question.
It's just like learning, like through being through managing projects, you kind of realize how the overall workflow goes. So when you're a software engineer now, you have the bigger picture in mind.
Oh yes. Actually, that kind of actually make a lot of sense. You're right. I should have touched on that. So like being a product manager, I realized I had a higher level kind of a view on everything. Like you see, like there's connections between the customer, the business, and the usage and all that. And I think that was helpful as a software engineer. And for everyone else here, right, it is a very big point that you should always, I feel, mention during interviews if they ask you, what kind of strength you bring to the table. Because, the computer science folks, right, will always bring in and say their strength in algo, in like, computer science and all that stuff. But for us, right, our strength is always about the understanding of the business. And actually having an understanding of business, right, surprisingly, is a lot more useful because when you build a feature, I can tell you that at least from my experience, 85% to 90% of problems that you solve, right, on a day-to-day basis, most likely doesn't require any algorithms. But almost all of them, right, require your understanding of the business, your understanding of the domain, your understanding of customers, your understanding of how people operate and how they transfer information between themselves, right? That is a lot more important. And if you're able to share your experience in the past, like how you managed to resolve problems between people and how to come to a consensus, and then from there you can use that knowledge to build a feature that is actually useful to people who are actually using it, that is a lot more helpful. That it adds a lot more value. Because as any tech lead will tell you, right, the biggest cost to software engineering, right, is actually change. And change that's discovered later on in business, right, it's a lot more expensive to fix, right, than change that is, discovered when you are like building it at the front. So you kind of want to like be able to demonstrate that you are very responsive to understanding people, responsive in asking questions, clarifying things, and all that kind of attitudes, right, is very important, right, to take you forward as a very solid software engineer. Yeah. Cool. I hope that answers the question.
Awesome. That was great.
All right. Next question. Where is this? Okay. What drives motivation to wanting to help more getting into programming? Is it because there's a lack of talent in Singapore? Okay. So I think it's twofold. I think it's one is, yes, there's definitely a lack of engineers in Singapore, Southeast Asia, and just generally wanting to lift up this entire industry to help at least more companies to be able to get engineers. I think that's number one. I think number two is really, I think it's the discovery that engineering is fun. Writing software is fun. I think I want to help more people to be able to discover that this ability, that you can write things yourself and make it happen, make it work. And I think it's really trying to just spread that joy, I guess. I think that was a lot of, I guess that's like the motivation why I help people to learn. And not many of them like learn to get into the role. Some of them are just learning because like it's fun. Some of them want to learn because they want to apply it to their job. Not as an engineer, but maybe as like, for example, I got a friend who's a sales engineer. He just wants to understand how it works because he's been into robotics for many years. And he wants to be able to like understand how the code works, understand how software works, so that he can understand robotics on a deeper level to do his job better, and also for him to appreciate robotics better. So it's not always about learning to be an engineer. It's just about learning the craft and having fun along the way. Yeah. Cool. Can I answer your question? Oh, sorry.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah. That's not really, actually, yeah, it wasn't really a question. It's just I wanted to find out like what drives you. Well.
Right, having fun is like, I think, the most important. Yeah.
Could you describe by the way, if anyone has I know Tinesh had a question earlier, right? That you may not have put in Pigeonhole.
No, actually, I wanted to jump off the interview, Effie's interview. So I really enjoyed that interview as opposed to what was asked the previous time. And I think this kind of interview question is really up my alley. I was just wondering, what would catch, like BCG or any sort of consulting, anyone who's interviewing for this kind of skill set and values this kind of skill set, what do I need to do to get my foot in the door in the first place? Because right now, my perception of RA's work is very web dev focused, right? Of course, I haven't got to all the algos and DSA stuff that comes at the end. But my concern is, how do I get my foot in the door for interviews like this, where companies value thinking like this, and yeah. So where it's not just So what will catch your eye, or what does BCG look out for before they even shortlist people?
Okay. So I think I would say it's kind of like twofold. I think first one, right, would be make sure you are knocking up the right door. So if you're knocking up the door of like tech giants, right, I'm not sure whether they really value thinking like this. They might be focusing a lot more on algo and all that kind of stuff. But usually if you go straight for like more consulting type companies like Accenture, Cognizant, BCG, all this, right, they will usually value a lot more on the problem solving aspect. So that's number one. Make sure you're just knocking on the right door. Then secondly, about the catching the attention, right? I would say firstly, your experience in building projects, and also being able to articulate within your CV that you have a track record of solving problems, and that you want to apply this problem solving skills to a specific domain of software engineering. I think that would be helpful, because it signals an intent to know that you want to do software engineering. That's one. Secondly, it also signals that you have experience in problem solving, but not just in the domain of writing code. So problem solving it, together with clients. I think that is something that if I'm looking out in a CV, that's what I'll be looking out for.
Yeah, thanks. That helps.
Cool.
All
right.
Some questions that I'm curious about that I think are also of interest to students. Could you describe, and maybe we can group these last two questions together. Could you describe the interview processes and how they're different at the various companies that you've worked at? And maybe also compare and contrast the experiences at the different companies that you worked at, and how students might choose to join one type of company versus another type of company.
Okay, cool. So I remember back at startups, right, we usually don't ask so much of the algo questions. We just jump straight into the problem solving ones, like the ones that I had earlier. So because I think we're just really more concerned about solving problems. We don't really care about the algo stuff, unless I'm like an AI company or like machine learning or like really matters to me, right? Then I would go down into it. I might prod some questions about like optimization, like what we have done earlier, and just to clear like some of the basic, I would say clear the bar on like some basic stuff like order of magnitude of computation and that kind of stuff, just to clear the bar. But it's not necessarily like a differentiating factor between this guy is really like a lot better with his like computing skills compared to other. Like to me, that kind of doesn't really matter as much. I remember that going into GovTech, it's completely different because we focus a lot more on there's definitely problem solving as one, but it's a lot more rigorous, and we don't just solve the problem. They also want to know how you test the problem. So unit testing becomes a very big deal in larger companies. So they will in fact ask you things like, how would you test this thing that you are building? That's number one. What interfaces will you test? How much testing is too much? How much testing is too little? That kind of stuff. They want to know your approach to that as well, because when your projects become a lot bigger, right, unit testing is important to help to drive up the productivity of all the employees, all the engineers. So they are a lot more concerned with that. Then the interviews are a lot longer as well, so you'll be multi-stage. So I remember I did like 3 or 4 stages of interview and stuff like that, usually with like bigger companies. So and usually you have like a mix of like meeting people and also doing the technical stuff. So yeah, so just expect that usually it'll be longer for like larger companies. Then I remember GovTech also does like algo tests, and specifically I think the one that I did, which they no longer use, is the one where they ask you to find number of combinations of like characters that are like, not sure what's that, anagrams. So like given like a set of characters, find all the anagrams and all that. So I remembered that for that particular problem, I solved it the very naive way, so I got it done. But the highly optimized solution wasn't something that I was able to like solve it. But later on, they still continue to hire because they just want you to solve the problem. The optimization thing, like say 90% of the time, you never encounter that kind of issue. So, and if you really do, there are experts usually working within the team, right, that are really good in algo. So you can always get those guys to solve it. So I don't think it is a factor that will like stop you from getting hired or anything. At least just try to clear the bar for solving it in a naive way. I think that is just what you need to focus on, at least as an entry level. Yeah.
How about a consulting firm? It's going to more of the problem solving that you mentioned.
Oh yeah, consulting. Yeah, a lot of problem solving. Algo usually, as far as I understand, they've never asked. Well, they asked me a lot about cloud, though, I remember. So maybe just something for you guys to know. So consulting companies now, right, they are working with clients that are heavily invested in cloud technologies. So it would be helpful for you to know, right, some basic understanding of like how the cloud works, like the computing resources, the serverless resources, that kind of stuff. Like some basic understanding of how you might want to use it to replace certain parts of how you solve a problem. That is helpful. Yeah. So at least they know that you have some sort of sensing of like what's in the cloud. Yeah.
Okay. I think that was super helpful. Thanks so much, Alvin. We're getting to the end of the time here, unfortunately. But maybe just before we end, maybe just one last question. This is typically our concluding question, which is, if you had any advice for the group here who are entering the tech industry for the first time, any general advice, what would that advice be?
General advice. I would say be confident about the skills you have acquired before you switch into a software engineer, and try to frame, during your interviews, try to frame that as your advantage. You don't want to be showing people that you're starting off from a new slate. In fact, you're not. You're actually bringing onto the table a lot of experience that you have, and you're using it in a way that is advantageous to you in this new role. So I guess everyone has got a different background. I can't be general about what is your strength, but you definitely want to think about that and spend some time talking about how you're going to use those your experience to help you in your new role. I think I would say that would be like the number one tip I would give.
That was super awesome. Thank you so much, Alvin. Thank you for
Cool.
being with us.
That's about it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that ends the Q&A. Have a good day.